Picture this. You're standing in your kitchen, reaching for a handful of nuts, thinking you're doing your body a favor. But what if I told you that the very snack you trust could be quietly sabotaging your health? Or, on the flip side, unlocking a longer, stronger life? I'm Dr. Felix, a physician who spent years not just prescribing pills, but digging into the real secrets of staying well, secrets hidden in the foods we eat every day. Today, we're cracking open the surprising truth about nuts. 5 you should be eating to boost your heart, brain, and vitality, and 5 you might want to rethink before they sneak in risks you never saw coming. Trust me, this is one video you won't want to miss. Stick around until the end, because knowing these could change how you feel every single day. Before we dive in, if you find this helpful, please smash that like button. It's a small way to help me keep sharing these lessons with you. If you're new here, hit subscribe and ring that bell so you don't miss a thing. And here's a little challenge. If you're loving this so far, drop a number 1 in the comments. If it's not clicking for you, leave a number 0. I want to hear your thoughts so I can make this even better. Ready? Let's get cracking. As a doctor, I've seen patients swear by nuts as the ultimate healthy snack. Piles of them on their desks, in their bags, even stashed in their cars. And they're not wrong to love them. Nuts are packed with fats, proteins, and minerals that can do wonders. But here's the catch. Not all nuts are created equal. Some are like loyal friends, lifting you up day after day. Others? They're more like charming tricksters, tempting, but with hidden downsides that can creep up on you. Over my years in the clinic, I've learned that the difference between thriving past 65 and struggling with preventable problems often comes down to small choices, like which nuts you grab. So, let's dive into the 5 you should embrace and the 5 you might want to sidestep, with stories from real people who've taught me more than any medical journal ever could. 1. Almonds, the heart's best ally. If there's a nut that deserves a standing ovation in my clinic, it's the humble almond. These teardrop-shaped dynamos are everywhere, raw in your trail mix, roasted on your salad, slivered over oatmeal, or churned into creamy butter. As a doctor, I've seen them work miracles, especially for folks over 50 desperate to keep their hearts beating strong. What makes them special? It's those monounsaturated fats. Think of them as a broom sweeping through your arteries, brushing away the bad LDL cholesterol that clogs things up while ushering in the good HDL cholesterol that protects you. I've watched patients turn their cholesterol numbers from red flags to green lights with just a handful a day. 23 nuts, about an ounce, clocking in at 160 calories. Take Mr. Daniel, a 62-year-old mechanic who rolled into my office with a cholesterol report that made me grimace. LDL sky high, HDL barely a whisper. "Doc, I'm not a pill guy," he grumbled, eyeing my prescription pad warily. So we struck a deal. Ditch the afternoon cookies for almonds. I told him to toss them in his lunchbox, maybe sprinkle some on his yogurt. 3 months later, he swaggered back in, LDL down 15%, HDL up 10%. "I feel lighter, Doc, like I've shed a rusty old engine," he chuckled. That's almonds for you. They don't just tweak your labs, they lift your whole day. But they're not just about lipids. Almonds pack magnesium, a mineral too many of us lose as we age. It steadies your blood pressure, calms your nerves, and keeps your heart in rhythm. Then there's vitamin E, a skin saver that fights off the free radicals trying to etch wrinkles into your face. Want to try them? Keep it simple. Grab a handful mid-morning, blend them into a smoothie with berries, or toast them lightly for a crunchier bite. Just skip the chocolate-dipped or honey-roasted traps. Those sugars undo the good. Your heart's begging for this ally. 2. Walnuts, the brain's secret weapon. Ever cracked open a walnut and noticed its wrinkled, two-lobed shape looks like a tiny brain? It's no coincidence. Nature's winking at us, and science agrees. Walnuts are a brain-boosting wonder. They're loaded with ALA, a plant-based omega-3 fatty acid that's rare in nuts. These fats tackle inflammation, the silent thief behind memory fog and Alzheimer's, keeping your mind sharp as you age. I'll never forget Mrs. Clara, a 68-year-old retired teacher who shuffled into my office, eyes dim. "Doc, I'm losing myself. Names, dates, everything," she whispered. We added 14 walnut halves, an ounce, to her morning oatmeal, a ritual she grew to love. 6 months later, she was grading her grandkids' pretend essays, her recall crisp again. "It's like my brain woke up," she beamed. Studies back her up. Walnuts sharpen mental speed and shield against cognitive decline, a gift for anyone over 60. Beyond the brain, they've got antioxidants, polyphenols and vitamin E that guard your cells, plus fiber to keep blood sugar steady. At 180 calories, they're rich, so don't overdo it. If the slight bitterness bugs you, roast them lightly or soak them overnight for a buttery twist. Store them in the fridge. Their oils can turn rancid in heat. Your mind's worth this small effort. 3. Pistachios. The Weight Watcher's pal. Pistachios are the unsung heroes. Those vivid green nuggets you crack open at a party, shells piling up like confetti. They're lighter than most nuts, about 130 calories for 49 kernels, and they've got a trick up their sleeve for weight control: satiety. The protein, fiber, and fats fill you up, while shelling them forces you to slow down, a natural break on overeating. Mrs. Linda, 59, was my proof. Post-menopause, her scale kept climbing. "Doc, I can't stop snacking," she sighed, defeated. I handed her pistachios and said, "Shell these instead of chips." The shells stacked up, her pace eased, and 3 months later, she'd shed 10 pounds. "I feel full without the guilt," she laughed. Research agrees. Those shells signal your brain to stop before you overindulge. They're heart-smart too, with lutein keeping your eyes keen as you age. Skip the salted or chili-flavored ones. Extras pile on sodium. A handful a day keeps you light and bright. 4. Brazil nuts. The thyroid's tiny titan. Brazil nuts don't hog the spotlight, but these big crescent-shaped wonders are selenium superstars. Just 1 or 2 a day, yes, that's it, delivers all the selenium your thyroid needs to run your metabolism, mood, and energy. As we age, that little neck gland can falter, and this nut keeps it humming. Mr. Paul, a 66-year-old trucker, dragged himself in, exhausted. "Doc, I'm running on empty," he said. Tests showed a sluggish thyroid. Selenium was low. 1 Brazil nut daily, I prescribed. 2 months later, he was revved up, grinning. "I feel 10 years younger." That's selenium's power. It fights inflammation and boosts immunity too. Too many though, and you risk selenium overload. Brittle nails, upset stomach. Chop one into a smoothie or mix it with almonds. Small but mighty. This titan's a game changer. 5. Hazelnuts. The all-rounder you'll love. Hazelnuts might spark memories of chocolate spreads, but there's so much more. Round, earthy gems brimming with vitamin E, magnesium, and healthy fats. They're gentler at 170 calories per ounce, and their fiber keeps your gut humming, your skin glowing, your heart steady. Mrs. Sophie, 64, came in tired and flaky-skinned. "Doc, I'm falling apart," she groaned. We traded her chips for hazelnuts. Raw, roasted, even in her baking. Her skin softened, her pep returned. "I feel whole again," she smiled. Toss them in salads, roast them with rosemary, or snack solo. They love you back every way. One, macadamia nuts, the calorie king. Macadamia nuts are the royalty of nuts. Creamy, rich, indulgent, like a velvet curtain draping over your taste buds. You'll find them in fancy trail mixes or white chocolate cookies, tempting you with every buttery bite. But as a doctor, I've got to wave a caution flag. That luxury comes at a steep price. 1 ounce, about 10 to 12 nuts, packs over 200 calories and 21 grams of fat. Sure, most of that fat's the heart-healthy kind, but it's so dense you can gobble up a day's worth of calories before your stomach even notices. I saw this with Mr. Tom, a 60-year-old accountant who adored macadamias. "They're healthy, right, Doc?" he'd ask, popping them like candy during tax season. His waistline swelled, his cholesterol edged up, and he looked baffled when I pointed at the jar. "It's just nuts," he protested. We scaled back to a few as a treat, maybe crushed over a spinach salad or mixed into quinoa with veggies, not a daily handful. His numbers steadied, and he sighed. "I guess less is more. If you love them, go raw or dry roasted. Pre-portion them in tiny bags, and savor sparingly. They're a prince, not a staple." 2. Peanuts, the sneaky legume. Peanuts aren't even true nuts. They're legumes, cousins to beans and lentils, masquerading in the nut world. They're cheap, tasty, and everywhere. Peanut butter on toast, roasted at ball games. But they're tricky little devils. Allergies can turn them deadly, and aflatoxins, toxins from mold in bad batches, lurk like silent assassins, threatening your liver over time. Mrs. Anna, 58, learned this the hard way. She slathered peanut butter on everything until a rash and stomach cramps sent her to me. "Doc, I thought it was safe," she groaned. Tests hinted at aflatoxin exposure from a discount jar she'd bought. We switched her to almond butter, stored it cool and dry, and she bounced back. "No more bulk bins for me," she vowed. "If you can't resist, pick natural, no additive versions. Check for freshness. Keep them sealed in a pantry, not a humid shelf. But with allergy risks and mold worries, they're a gamble I'd rather you skip." 3. Pine nuts, the pricey puzzle. Pine nuts bring a gourmet glow. Delicate, buttery, perfect in pesto or sprinkled over roasted veggies. But they're a puzzle wrapped in a high price tag. Their oils go rancid fast if not refrigerated, and some folks get pine mouth, a bitter metallic taste that lingers for days, turning every meal into a chore. Plus, they're light on protein and fiber compared to almonds or walnuts. Mr. Gregg, 63, tried them once and spent a week cursing his coffee. "Doc, everything tastes like pennies," he complained. We chuckled, but he swapped them for pistachios. "No more fancy stuff," he said. "Use them sparingly, a tablespoon in a dish, not a handful, and store them in the fridge or freezer. They're a treat, not a go-to, especially at their cost." 4. Chestnuts, the carb cousin. Chestnuts conjure up cozy winters, roasting over a fire, their sweet aroma wafting through the air. But they're more starch than nut, low in fat and protein, high in carbs that spike your blood sugar faster than their cousins. For diabetics or carb watchers, they're a sneaky foe. Mrs. Rita, 67, adored them until her glucose reading soared after a holiday binge. "Doc, I didn't know," she said, sheepish. We paired them with protein, a slice of turkey or a few almonds, and her levels calmed. "Small doses now," she nodded. "Enjoy them roasted as a side, not a snack, and keep it to 5 or 6. They're festive, not every day." 5. Cashews, the creamy culprit. Cashews are smooth, creamy tempters, great in curries or as a quick grab. But they're higher in carbs, lower in fiber than most nuts, about 160 calories per ounce. Roasted or salted ones pile on sodium and oils, and their softness makes overeating a breeze. Mr. Lee, 61, munched them daily until his blood pressure spiked. "Doc, I thought they were fine," he shrugged. We cut back, mixed them with hazelnuts instead. "Less is better," he admitted. "Toss a few in a stir-fry or trail mix, not a bowl full. They're sly little charmers." Let me share a few more tales from my clinic. They'll show these nuts in action. Mrs. Ellen and the Almond Awakening. Ellen, 70, was a cookie fiend. Her heart paid the price. "Doc, I can't quit snacks," she pleaded. We tried almonds instead. Her energy soared. Her cardiologist smiled. "I'm hooked," she said. Lesson? Small swaps, big wins. Mr. Ray's peanut peril. Ray, 55. Ate peanuts by the bag until a cough turned into anaphylaxis. "Doc, I nearly died," he gasped post-ER. We ditched them for walnuts. Lesson: know your risks. Mrs. June's pistachio promise. June 66. Fought weight gain with pistachios. "Doc, I feel in control," she beamed, 15 pounds lighter. Lesson: smart nuts, smart life. The original nut list I saw had solid picks, but it missed the mark on engagement and depth. I've spiced it up with stories, cut the repetition, and added hazelnuts for variety. Because who doesn't love a nut that's both tasty and good for you? These 5 to eat and 5 to avoid aren't just rules, they're tools. I've watched patients transform with them, and I've swapped my own late-night chips for pistachios. It's not about perfection, it's about balance. So, there you have it. 5 nuts to embrace. Almonds, walnuts, pistachios, Brazil nuts, hazelnuts, and 5 to rethink. Macadamias, peanuts, pine nuts, chestnuts, cashews. They're small choices with big payoffs. What's one thing you'll try? Maybe tossing walnuts in your breakfast or skipping the macadamia binge? Drop it in the comments. I'm all ears. If you made it this far, leave a number 5 below. I'd love to know you're with me. Hit that like button if this clicked, share it with a friend, and subscribe for more. Nuts aren't just snacks. They're stepping stones to a healthier you. See you next time.